There was one more thing that I truly loved. Was, again, the brilliance of Happy Heyman, the Jovial Jew. Paul Heyman is without a doubt, he is the De Niro of our time now in wrestling. I don't know whether he is just having fun for himself now, because it's like he's so far ahead of everybody else on the program as a performer, as an orator, as a person with the elocution, the excellence of elocution, and the emotions and etc. Roman Reigns again comes out with Paul and the Usos. And it's Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. We don't get it at Survivor Series or at Royal Rumble or at WrestleMania. The Saudis get it. The Saudis with the blood money running through the streets of the town. Anyway, so, of course, Roman Reigns told the crowd to acknowledge him. And then they were in San Jose. Of course, you know, you got to know that there's some Samoan contingents there in San Jose. So they were getting cheered. But he told him to acknowledge Paul, the wise man, for getting the Usos to Raw. And Paul's all smiles. He's got his chest as far out as it'll go. It still won't go any farther in front of his stomach than normal, but he's got it stuck out. And he's all smiles, and Roman Reigns says, I love you, Paul. Part of the family, etc., etc. You know, now we want you to be wise. Come clean. Tell the truth. And as he's starting to turn on to Paul to get stern with him, to explain that he wants to know the truth about Brock Lesnar, the people tried to hijack the segment. They started chanting Suplex City, and Reigns blows them right off perfectly and goes right back to his point and shut them down, and they did shut up. That was very good for Mr. Reigns. But Paul needs to tell the truth about him being responsible, whether or not he is, for Brock Lesnar being a free agent. And again, geez, I can't do it justice by the description. It's like watching a master thespian, as I've mentioned, of a Laurence Olivier, a Sir Michael Redgrave, a Barrymore, any of the ones that weren't drunk, or if there were any ones that weren't drunk, or even when some of the ones that were drunk weren't drunk.
You talking thespians or Barrymores?
Barrymores, thespians, whatever the case. It's nevertheless, he's up there in the upper echelons. He started out with the humana, professing his loyalty. He's got the lip quiver. He's been with the family for 40 years. He's groveling brilliantly. But then as he grovels brilliantly, you see on his face and in the change of his delivery and in the tone and the confidence that he has, as it begins to build and as he gets more and more confidence in himself, as he starts thinking of the big pitch, the big lie, the big swerve, the big con that can get him out of this. And as he begins double talking and thinking of that and then delivering it to the big buildup, and he starts even thinking he's going to get by with this. And then suddenly Roman Reigns cuts him off and says, don't tell me, tell Brock. And he makes Paul. Well, I'll tell you what, they ought to... If Paul had a ball gag and Roman Reigns had like a leash and a fucking whip, it would have been great.
Stop it.
He turns Paul to the camera. Turn to the camera. I want you to say this to the camera, bitch. And he says, tell Brock. And he makes Paul Heyman cut a promo on Brock Lesnar and what Roman Reigns is going to do to Brock Lesnar as the people are chanting, we want Lesnar. And Heyman cuts the promo. He starts out by putting Brock over to try to soften the thing that he's going to deliver, and possibly with a twinkle in his eye, if he and Brock indeed are in some kind of conspiracy, you may see that he's giving Brock an Iggy of some kind, but he finally tells him he's met his match. And then cuts the fucking event, goes to the end of it, boom. Roman Reigns will be the reigning undisputed, blah, 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 blah. What a masterclass. Then turns and kneels down and prays. with his head down and his hands up to Roman Reigns. Just absolutely brave. I want to see that match more than anything I can think about, just to see what the fuck they're going to do with fucking Paul. And also to see him in Saudi Arabia. But that was brilliant. I'm just, he's so far above everybody else now. He's got to be just doing this just to keep his mind sharp for fun or something, because it's not even a fucking contest. But that, that was the other thing on the show. Well, and also, Edge and Rollins had a heck of a good fight for about the last minute and a half around ringside.
Come on.
No, I liked for a minute and a half, they had a good fight. I didn't watch any of the promos or any of the build-ups or anything else, but they had some oomph in their fight at ringside. And then Edge challenged him. That was good. Otherwise, that's all I watched of the show.
I had it on in the background. It was a bunch of crap, and I felt bad. It really hit me. Cesaro's a great wrestler. Finn Balor's really good.
Yeah, I felt guilty not wanting to watch.
Yeah, and it felt like I like both those guys, and I didn't really have any desire to see the match. And I think it's because it was here on SmackDown. Because if that same match was on another show, I probably would enjoy it. But it's just this whole fucking environment and Michael Cole.
I'm telling you, sometimes, remember when all the guys that were on TV for Impact Wrestling were working in independent shows that drew tons more money than Impact Wrestling?
That's right.
Well, there you go.
But Seth Rollins was insufferable on this show. That's what you skip past. It was insufferable. And they give him so much time for all of us to suffer. He's insufferable, and then you just suffer, and it keeps going and going, and he went to Edge's house, and I had to replay as much of that as possible. And then Edge shows up, and there's a camera on him, and then the brawl. This sucks. Seth Rollins, I don't want to see this guy anymore.
Well, imagine now, next week, they got an extra half hour to suck some more. They can suck sand out of cement in 2.5 hours. They can suck a golf ball through a garden hose. They can suck the chrome off a trailer hitch.
Well, speaking of trailer hitches, Jim, perhaps you want to suck the chrome off your own trailer hitch, and you may not know where to get it. And in fact, I may not even know if that's the kind of auto part you can get there, but you should check it out. You should check out rockauto.com.
Well, yes, you should. And by the way, you Yankee, you don't have a Tamp. You don't know whether you can get a trailer. Of course, you can get a trailer hitch at rockauto.com. You can get anything that you need to repair and maintain your car with the fine folks at rockauto.com. Why would you want to spend 30%, 50%, 100% more for the exact same auto part at a chain store or a new car dealership when you can go to rockauto.com? You know they've got 20 million makes and models these days. I can't imagine a superstore carrying everything you need, but with rockauto.com, they do, and you can get it delivered. So, folks, they got everything from engine control modules and brake parts to tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. The rockauto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate, so you can quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose the brand, specifications, and prices you prefer. Holy mackerel, if you can pick prices that you prefer, well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Best of all, prices at rockauto.com, as I was just mentioning about those prices, are always reliably low. And the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers. Why should one of these all fancy Dan mechanics with their education and things get a decent discount when you don't?
Fancy Dan
for
mechanics.
Heaven's sake, the fancy Dan mechanics with their fancy highfalutin learning and everything, you can get the same price as the professionals at rockauto.com. You can go right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. And they got a little box on there. It says, how did you hear about us? Well, don't lie to them. Tell them the Drive-Thru, or actually write JCE, because actually they don't really like your program, Brian. They like mine at rockauto.com. So write JCE in the How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you, and they'll keep you on file and know that you're one of us. Anyway, amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.